It's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. YK in the building.
Good morning.
Are you back to back this week? What's going on?
Since I took the week off and then Julie is not around, I said, let me try and be a conscientious host for the rest of this month.
I love this color on you.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
Good morning.
Anything interesting happening?
Yes, so one of my boss went and took a clip of me talking about the bishop yesterday.
Oh my God, I'm sending to the bishop.
The bishop said that he's going to they're having a love fest in February and he's inviting me. So I will now see what love is about.
Oh, nice. In fact, Bishop, while you're at it, please make sure she comes to church.
All of you, I'm going to make sure all of you come.
He needs to draw you.
He said you will come and see what love. All of you will come and see what love.
Okay, no problem. We look forward to it.
Meanwhile, before I forget, today is Sheun's birthday. Sheun is my younger brother, my father's youngest child. He's 40.
Sheun Kuti?
Yeah, he's 40 today.
Damn, that's nice. Fantastic.
Yes, so he's
happy birthday,
officially entering
into the... He's halfway,
you know.
He's now middle age.
He's now officially middle age.
No, he's the youth. No, he's not even the youth. He's still middle age.
Yeah.
He's not even the elder of the youth.
He's the old.
He's not the elder of the youth.
He's not the elder.
He's in the middle.
Analysis on top of 40.
You're older of the youth. He's older of the youth now.
He's the elder.
No. 50 is the older of the youth.
Oh, really?
The 60 is the youth of the old elders.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, thank you for the analysis. So thank God I'm still a youth. I'm officially still a youth. Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Not nice having with people who are on TV or celebrities because we've seen them for so long. We assume that they are much older than they are. I'm surprised
he's one of the really
40.
smartest people I've known. He's really smart. Obviously, he reads a lot, and I love his videos and his live. Like I always watch it. I never miss any, and he's very informative. So happy birthday to Sheun Kuti. Fantastic. How are you doing, Topsy?
I'm very good. Grateful to God.
I've not understood this hair, you know.
And the hair is going today.
Oh, really? But I'm trying to
really
understand. Yeah.
I feel... I don't think it's the Hamatan, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm always...
I just love that it's
scratching.
In the front, it's African and it's lovely. I love it. Don't worry. Don't mind
I would have done it if the whole thing was called. Yeah, the whole thing. I have black hair. I don't understand it.
Because naturally, my hair actually is black at
the roots
and golden at the tips.
Okay.
I'm very, very good. I resumed at the gym yesterday. I haven't been in the gym in like 3 to 4 years. I felt very lost, you know, and then they didn't have this evening group class, and I really wanted to just blend in at the back of the group, you know, just doing like I'm fooling myself. And
I used to go to gym before my mom's death. After that, I just couldn't go back. How are you doing, Mariam?
I'm doing fine. You know, with weight loss, exercise, diet, usually at the beginning of the year, a lot of people talk about that. Yeah. But I've said to myself, I'm not going to just talk about it. Tell people, I will just do it.
What do you want to lose?
And let the results just show.
No, what do you want to lose?
I'm not losing. I didn't say I'm losing anything. I said I'm not talking about anything.
I will
just talk about losing. I'm here for you.
In fact,
because you want to be abusing some of us.
In my small community estate, there are the few of the ladies. So all of us are trying to lose some weight, get to the gym. One of us that is very slim and skinny too came out to their own. I just look at my auntie.
Get back yourself.
We're not calling you here. You know, some of us, but you know, with RCCG, today we started officially
50 days.
Did you see the video I sent? It was especially for you.
It's not especially for me. That's not for me. But our prayer is that as we wait on the Lord, that God will answer our prayers and that we use this time to consecrate ourselves and focus on the things of God.
That video was for you.
Let's go on a break.
You have to talk what about the video was about.
I cannot talk about the video.
The guy was fasting.
And then went to eat a bar.
And
let's go on a break. Wednesday. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. Buhari, what Nigerians stand to gain from Tinubu and Shettima. Elections will hold as planned, says federal government. 150 nurses resigned from LASUTH in the last 3 years. Judiciary won't be manipulated under me, says CJN Ariwola. DSS won't succumb to intimidation and harassment. Sanwo-Olu, Uzodinma, others mourn Anyam Osigwe. Huge crowd welcomes Peter Obi to Onitsha. Okay, which story are we starting with in Nation?
Okay, so I'll take the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. Last week, the CMD was speaking, and he said that in the last 3 years, 150 nurses have relocated, and so that means 150 nurses have resigned from LASUT because they are relocating. I guess Japa is the word. And he says that, but thankfully, there hasn't been any void created by their leaving because they have what they call a replacement strategy where they're recruiting even more nurses who are even doubly qualified. Also talking to, involving retired nurses, nurses who are retired but not tired. So they're making sure that, we have nurses on ground. He also talked about an ongoing construction of the SDG building, which is a 120-bed capacity in the hospital and is 90% complete. He says it's going to help a lot with the issue of bed space shortages. And he said that the SDG building is, it's something that once it's complete, it would stop a lot of the, going away. Yeah. He says that there's also a committee that they have put in place so that people are moved from the emergency critical section and taking ease into regular wards. So LASUT is doing a lot to make sure that patients are taken care of. The JACPA movement is not affecting them, and more bed spaces will be introduced.
So the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ariwola, was speaking yesterday at a conference in Abuja. It's a conference of attorney generals in Nigeria, and the theme was enhancing synergy between the federal government, state government, and administration of justice. And he was specifically saying that he would not let the judiciary be in any way manipulated under his watch. According to him, he said that without equivocation, that the rule of law has been assailed from all fronts in this country, especially by those who are supposed to uphold it. And those are those actually not attaining the rule of law. He says there's no more news that judicial officers, even court facilities, have been voraciously attacked, molested, harassed, and desecrated. He's still letting us know that we shouldn't mistake that golden silence for weakness or vulnerability. That the judiciary under his watch would not sit by the sidelines and watch the temple of justice and ministers of justice being flagrantly chastised, whipped into silence, and that Nigeria must be governed by the rule of law and constitution. So I'm happy about that.
Group of people that also would not succumb to intimidation are the DSS. So the Public Relation Officer, Dr. Peter Afunaya, has given a statement that they've heard that some disgruntled politicians, they uncovered plans by some disgruntled elements, including politicians and people outside the government, are sponsoring a smear campaign against the DSS. They are particularly attacking the Director General of DSS, Yusuf Bichi, and other key officials. They mentioned that they are seeing a lot of plots to engage civil society, protests, media, rallies, road shows, press conferences to discredit Yusuf Bichi, and they said that that of his family and a few of the heads of the DSS, but that they would not allow that to distract them, and they're letting the public know that this is going to continue over the next few months, and that their focus is on creating an enabling environment for 2023 general elections and confront head-on the threat to national security.
Another story in the nation. Let's move on now to, you have a story? Move on to Punch. Last lap, Tinubu campaign mulls alliance with smaller parties. Blackout and 16 die in California flooding. 2 female suspects detained over Lagos missing baby. Nigerian passport falls by 38 places in global ranking. FG shortlists 139 bidders for gas project. Entertainers, politicians eulogize Anya Musigwe as AMA founder dies. Government attack NDLEA operatives, soldiers rescue Lagos Baron, and OB promises to negotiate with Biafran agitators. Okay, so where are we starting with?
I wanted to take the female suspects. I think you took it on Monday, that this lady who had a baby in the hospital, the policeman came, took the baby, arrested her and her 2 kids, and gave her, I think, 15,000 and said he doesn't want to see her in the police station again. Yeah. Okay. She didn't agree, so he now gave her another 170,000, gave the baby to another lady. So the police have rounded up the two ladies because that first lady now says she gave it to another baby, not another lady. So they've rounded up, but they still don't know where the baby is. They've arrested the policeman. His name is an inspector, Samuel Ukpabio, and they've arrested him. So the three of them, and the CP has promised that he's going to uncover and find where that baby is.
We're looking forward to that.
Do so quickly.
The major headline, the Tinubu-Shettima campaign has, I don't know why they called it last lap. I was trying to understand what they meant by last lap, but there was a meeting, apparently, a strategy meeting that took place with all gubernatorial candidates as well, and the presidential campaign council to see how to plan towards the February 25th election and ensure that APC gets to win. And part of what they want to do is they are adopting an approach of conversation with smaller parties to see how they can merge those smaller parties' votes with their own. They also mentioned that this came as a result of after having conversations with the G5 integrity group governors to see if they would endorse their candidate, and it seemed like that's not working out, that they're trying to follow another approach. The spokesperson for PCC, Minister of Labour and Employment, Festus Kemo, said it's a welcome development in politics. You need to get as many people as you can, as many political parties and candidates that have seen the light are ready to team up with Ashiwaju, and we welcome them on board. It's an extremely welcome development. So basically that's the story.
I have suspected gunmen numbering about 20 on Tuesday ambushed some NDLA operatives who were trailing a drug baron from the Agege area to around Ikoyi area. They said that they were trying to intercept a truck conveying unknown quantities of Canadian loud on the Awolowo Road in Ikoyi. And this happened about 1 a.m. when they came under a rain of gunfire by the attackers. But the attackers were repelled with the assistance of some soldiers who were there along the way. This is after, as we're aware, NDLA recently froze 126 bank accounts belonging to a suspected drug lord, Nsofo Chukwukadibia. He also had about 20 mansions belonging to this drug lord located in Lagos, Abuja, and Southeast confiscated. There's also a back and forth with the police. The police, the NGL is alleging that that particular truck was protected by some security operatives who could have been police officers. But the police is saying that there's no how that police officers would be the ones, protecting that, and there's no how that there would be a gun battle between the police officers and operatives of the NDLEA. They would investigate. Maybe these are just fake security operatives.
All right. So I was going to take the picture story, the blackout that happened in California. 6 people have been confirmed dead after the early Tuesday flood that happened in California. According to the report, the sheriff of the county has ordered a total evacuation of 4,000 residents after the Bear Creek began to flood amid heavy rain. It's interesting that one of the things that I noticed from this report is that the California news agencies were able to tell the people that so far they're about to reach about $1 billion in cost of how to evacuate, and that this flooding is going to cost about $1 billion. And they also calculated the fact that in the last 2017 and a few other years, between 2011 and 2017, it also cost the government about $1 billion to take care of this kind of flooding. Now, that is interesting to me because when floods happen over here, we don't usually talk about the costs because sometimes it's almost psychological where the government is trying to tell you that this thing that just happened is going to cost us this amount of billions. People now, the burden is now on the people to understand that, okay, it's going to cost them money to evacuate us and to get us shelters and everything. But here we don't count our costs.
We have a shelter.
We don't have anywhere to count our costs that our governors have been chopping. What's the name of the fund?
Ecological fund.
Yes, so we have funds that we put ahead of when issues like this happen, but...
Let's go on a quick break.
Okay.
Yeah, when we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. You want to take a story in Punch?
Yes, the Nigerian passport has fallen by 38 places in global ranking between in the past 17 years, 2006 to 2022. And this is, even though Nigeria, one of the major reasons for this is how many countries can you access without having to do visa-free. How many countries can your passport access visa-free, and how many countries would just be visa on arrival? But anything apart from those two will make your ranking drop. So it fell from 62nd in 2006 to 100 in the world in 2022. And they said that even though Nigeria has opened up our own country a bit more as compared to 2006 to now, because before we didn't give people access to our own country as much as we have now, we are still dropping in rank because some countries are making it tougher for Nigerians to get into the country. So I would think that the Foreign Affairs should be concerned about this, because these are conversations about how Nigeria is seen. And somebody was, one of the reports showed that it was not an economical issue, that it's just about accessibility. The spokesperson for Nigerian Immigration Service said that the issue is based on how many passports admissibility, and is largely a function of mutual understanding and reciprocity among countries. So I feel that falls under the affairs of Foreign Affairs Ministry.
Okay, Daily Sun, insecurity, FG allays fears on election cancellation. APC governors meet in Abuja, keep mum. I have fulfilled my campaign promises, says Buhari. Adeleke orders review of Elisha varsity establishment. Edo train attack, we have not completely won war against insecurity, says Tinubu. More controversies trail new Naira notes, CBN transaction limits. LP campaign venue, Delta accuses Utomi of deceit and blackmail. And 2023 APC candidates championing modern democracy with power of delegation, says Kalu. Okay, which story is...
let me take the major headlines. So the federal government has assured Nigerians that 2023 general elections will be held as scheduled on February the 25th and March 11 this year. The Minister for Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, has dismissed the concerns by INEC that security challenges across the country could lead to cancellation or postponement of the polls. So he says that he's aware that INEC is working closely with security operatives to make sure that these elections are held as scheduled. At the same event, we had the Minister for Health, and his presentation was on the resurgence of COVID. He said that the government has concluded plans to vaccinate unvaccinated travelers entering Nigeria at the airport, and also said that the Omicron variant has been in Nigeria since 2021, but dismissed fears of the new variants of COVID-19 in the country.
Okay, so our President Muhammad Buhari, was saying yesterday that he has fulfilled his promise to stabilize the nation when he came in from May 29, 2015, that he has stabilized the country and tackled Boko Haram. He was saying that he does not have 1 square inch outside Nigeria. He was speaking at Yobe State, that in Yobe actually, saying that, as I said more than 30 years ago, we have no other country than Nigeria. We must all stay here to salvage it together. He is saying that the biggest security issue his administration faced was taken 8 years ago with the Boko Haram, and he can say that he has restored he has actually restored all the affected states. If you recall, Yobe was amongst the states where lots of Boko Haram had taken over at the time. He said that Yobe State was heavily attacked by terrorists, and that the threat was particularly ubiquitous throughout the northeast geopolitical zone. And he's saying that in the northeast, God has helped us to clear Boko Haram. The economy has picked up, and some are asking me about the achievements of my promise to fight corruption. He's saying that he has done his work that he promised since 2015.
So let me take the story of a controversy in Delta State. Apparently, the Labour Party had tried to use a particular venue, the stadium, for their campaign, but that didn't work out. So the Patutomi gave a press conference, and the Delta State's spokesperson was addressing it that press conference was wrong and that it was a lie, that they had gotten the approval, but because they assumed they would not get it, that Patomi now went out and now gave a press conference, and he just wanted to set the record straight that they're not playing that kind of politics within Delta State.
Okay, moving on quickly now to Vanguard. Let's see how much time we have. Fear not, elections will hold, says federal government. Sounds like the Bible. Security plans for rail stations incomplete, says NRC boss. African Bar Association flays plot against CBN Governor Emefiele. Gunmen open fire on NDLE operatives in Lagos. After Babalola, what we have in this country is a government-driven curriculum, and this has been so for decades. Any story? Let's go to Nigerian Tribune quickly.
Okay.
Article discusses economy security with UK government officials. Lassa fever kills medical doctor in Nasarawa. NSCDC actually confirms loss of 7 personnel to bandits attack in Kaduna. Tinubu meets APC governors, reviews campaign structures and strategies. Your CJ frees 9 NSAS protesters, 32 others. Lagos port operator increases export charges, threatens Nigeria's export promotion. Stop putting old notes in your ATM, CBN tells banks. Nigeria needs stingy leader to develop, says Peter Obi. And no cause for alarm, elections will hold as planned, says federal government. Okay, which story are we taking?
Okay.
The Labour Party presidential candidate has said Nigeria needs a stingy leader because people have been commenting that, oh, he doesn't...
He's stingy.
He's stingy. And that there was a particular thing that they said about him, that he didn't take care of the people, he just saved money. That his own is to be saving money, and that's what Nigeria needs, not a spendthrift shop.
Okay, any other?
Yeah, and that it's not a job for retirement, not to go there and retire. That he is young and his second in command, they're both young and ready to do the work.
Okay, so the Nigerian Medical Association in Nasarawa State have confirmed the death of Dr. Ahmed Isaiah on December 31st. They said that he died as a result of health hazard-related issues, specifically Lassa fever. He died, they said, on the 24th of December while he was carrying out a surgery on a patient. He collapsed. He had been ill. He was aware that he was sick, but there were only 2 doctors on call, and he had to continue working even while he was sick. And eventually, he passed on. And the doctors are asking the federal government imploring the government to employ more doctors and introduce incentives to curtail brain drain in the state, because there's so much pressure now on the few doctors left to keep working, even in spite of health-related issues, as we've seen in this case.
So, sad story of the passing of Peace Osigwe, and the governor of Lagos State, even the presidency, also issued several commiserated with the family. Peace Osigwe was the founder of the African Movie Academy Award, and she died after a brief illness at the St. Nicholas Hospital. She was aged 54. And in a statement yesterday, they confirmed her death to the world, and everybody is commiserating with her. The governor of Lagos commiserated with her, saying that she's an Amazon with the family, saying that she's an Amazon in the creative sector, and many other people are also saying the same. We also commiserate with the family, that God will grant her comfort, her family.
Amen.
Amen. All right, let's go on a quick break now. When we come back, we continue with the hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. According to reports, 20 deposit money banks began the implementation of the Central Bank of Nigeria's new cash withdrawal limit policy across the country, with the bank customers expressing anger and displeasure over the new rule. Now, what are your thoughts on this? Joining us on the conversation is a concerned citizen like us, He's a lawyer, Mr. Gabriel Irewele. He's also a lawyer of Partner Rock Legal. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank
Good
you.
to have you. And we wanted to bring you to join the conversation because we wanted to have a discussion on this policy. Many Nigerians are complaining that this is another attempt of government to rob them of their hard-earned money. It's another policy of government to benefit the rich, because according to many people, the rich will always get their money if they want it anyway. But this really affects the poor. So we thought to bring you as a citizen to express your views on this. Do you think the policy is good? And if it is, why is it good for the people? Or if you don't think it's good, how do you think we can benefit or we can improve on it to make it better?
Thank you, Mariah. Thank you, ladies, of your view. The policy is one of the best policies, as far as I'm concerned, that the central bank has come up with. Why? Because it speaks to the issue of the problems, to my mind, that we have in the country. For example, the problems of corruption. Because usually people say, oh, Nigeria is very corrupt. And I wonder why. How? How can you move millions of dollars? How is that possible? Because it's possible because these cash are somehow taken out of the financial system. That's how corruption thrives. Also, if you look at the issues of kidnapping, it's such a serious. About 2 weeks ago, someone called me, a friend of mine, that one of our friends was kidnapped and we're raising money. And eventually, 20 million naira was taken in cash. Eventually, it was released. I asked myself, how? How is this allowed to happen? So the policy of the central bank, to my mind, just went to the real issues of what bothers us. Now, the poor, I don't know how it affects the poor. For example, I don't see myself as being rich. For a very long time, I can't remember when I went into the bank or how to handle cash. For transactions as not as high as 5,000 naira, I transfer. So, and I think there is enough technology to handle cashless environment, like the central bank had planned to come up with this policy. So when people complain, actually, when I was told to be here, it's an opportunity to interrogate what the complaints are.
Okay, so let's start with the complaints. I'll come to talk about because one of the complaints is that businesses are having issues. I was reading the papers today, somebody was saying, I'm a cash business. How do I transact? There's sometimes I just need this money, loose cash, but let me come to...
Yes, we're just even saying that the ecosystem that would allow for a cashless system has not been put in place. We have people who, sometimes you go to make a transaction and network is down, app is not working. You're now going back and forth. You have somehow... knowing that you can get cash is a backup. Now, if we can't get cash or as much cash as we need to do a transaction, where does that leave us? So we're saying, have we put all the other things necessary to make a cashless system possible?
Well, that's a very valid point. And I assume the central bank should have thought about the ecosystem. In fact, before now, I've always been wondering, why is it that when failed transactions happen online, electronic transaction, there's no protocol? I know people have mistakenly transferred to other accounts, so you can't get your money back. As far as I know, there's no protocol. So it's an opportunity for the central bank to now put the right protocol in place when these things happen. Now, for the person that says it's a cash, I don't know anybody that does cash transaction. The purpose of banks is to keep cash for you. So if you are not integrated into the banking sector, I don't really know the kind of business you are doing. So, yeah.
I think you are talking from, which I find is the problem of most of us. Everybody talks from my own perspective. This is how it bothers me. Nobody looks at the bigger picture of how it bothers other people. And that's one of the problems Nigeria is facing today. Because you don't do cash transaction. So you don't see why any other person needs to do cash transaction. There's a video of this woman on Instagram. She had been keeping her money. And she said, I'm robber, did not come and rob her. They say cashless. She now carry her 600,000 and put it inside the bank. Fraudsters have carried the money. So she's there displaying, crying in the bank. No. Wait, let me finish. Nobody even paid her any attention. They just Everyone was just going about their business, and the woman was there screaming. Now, you want to do cashless. You have not put everything in place. My own, go with your cashless. It should be, yeah, it's even better. Go with cashless. But you have not put everything in place to make sure that that you transit to the cashless system properly. Now we talk about banks. When I was growing up, you are doing a bank a favor by keeping your money inside the bank, because the banks use your money to do business. Now you keep your money inside the bank. You will pay account maintenance charge because your money needs servicing. They need to wash your money, so you will pay account maintenance charge. You will pay POS charge. You will pay transfer charge. You will pay stamp duty. There are about 4 or 5 different things that you pay. So now the bank is doing you a favor by keeping your own money. Many people don't want to go through. Explain to me why I should have to pay all these charges. Why must I, if I have 10,000 and inside you take 2,000, because you must take account maintenance, you must take POS, you must take transfer duty, you must take stamp duty. Come on. So for me, central bank have not put in the right measures to stop fraud. Now, you say the cashless. Let me tell you, like that poor woman that is shouting for her 600,000. If I'm a millionaire or a billionaire and I want to take 500 million or 5 million or whatever million from the bank, your 15% will not affect me because I have billions and millions. It is me that have 2 million. That I come and I say I want to take 500,000, and then you charge me 15% of that, my 2 million. I will feel it.
Okay, let us tackle this. Because so we've seen that clip, but we've not seen the full story. We don't know what the bank has done. We need to confirm, because it's easy to just see a clip and say, oh, this is what happened. But it's possible the bank may have offered a solution that for somebody that's like, please, all the things that I'm speaking, just put my money back in the account. There are different levels. So we'd like to hear from the bank also to know exactly how that transpired and what has happened so far. But
I've had a conversation with a friend who did a transaction. She was debited twice, over 100,000 naira, double debit. And the person that said she only got one, the bank said, okay, we would process a reversal, and it took 3 months to get the money back. You know, so
I have many stories like that.
I used my dollar card to try and shop on Macy's, and I was debited. Macy's cancelled my order because it did not get reflected. I did a complaint on my app twice, and somehow I didn't remember. By the time I got to the bank, they said there's a time lapse of 6 months, and if I did not do my complaint within 6 months, my transaction is invalid because it's a dollar transaction, and that's how my money goes. So I, like you, I believe strongly in the fact that the CBN have the right, intention, but we have an infrastructural deficit, which is the reason there are people kicking against it because they don't understand it. But another group of people are kicking because they've experienced the deficit of our structure. So our structure cannot handle this thing. We have banks. This is a move that would empower banks. It would enrich banks. And it would, to a large extent, keep us slave to the banking system. I'm into real estate. If somebody wants to do a transaction with me and the person is not in Nigeria, the person tries to issue a transfer money to me, and they said until the person shows up physically to do it. When the person came here to withdraw her pounds, they said there's no pounds available. There are many issues that are within. So they see that in reality. Yes, when people want to do transaction and they say the bank cannot fulfill it because they don't have enough money.
Before we go on a break.
So.
Okay,
what
you're
are
right.
this? Because these are real Nigerian issues.
I only am in support of the policy, but you are very correct to say that the ecosystem doesn't exist. But to me, that is not a reason why the policy shouldn't work. It is a challenge for the central bank to put all these in place. For example, why would bank? Honestly, I don't even know why. The banks hold a responsibility for agreeing to keep my money. If, for example, fraudsters, like I saw that video, took that 600,000 away, there should be some level of insurance. The bank can afford to give that lead. Once you investigate, you see that, okay, this lady wasn't careless, even if she was careless.
The bank was
must be responsible, and that's why you have banks. So the central bank should put in place the right policies. I agree with you. They can't be charging all the commissions. In fact, right now, you don't even know what charge. The last one, they said electronic banking charge in my bank. And I'm wondering, I'm in one particular bank. So there should be a clear policy on what charges are allowed and what charges are not allowed.
So I have to go on a break because obviously there is issue of the charges, the CBN. There's issue of the intention of a policy.
Yeah.
There's the issue of sensitizing the public to understand why. So yes, it's a good idea, but is it the right timing? When we say it's not the right, there's never a right time to do the right thing. But let's go on a break. When we come back, we dig further and take some more phone calls on this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we still have our lawyer, it's our guest. We know you don't work for CBN. I know you're a financial analyst, but you just happen to join the conversation. You're a Nigerian, concerned Nigerian who's joined the conversation. But I wanted us to separate and compartmentalize these issues. There's a general issue we all have with banks, which hopefully we can take on directly with CBN if we can get one of them to come on our show, because they really need to start this media tour with this policy. We've not seen any of them so far. But hopefully we'll discuss the issues we have generally with banks. We'll discuss, now I want us to focus on the policy, this cashless policy. And I understand very clearly, one thing that's been solved critically, that we don't have the infrastructure to ensure that when I do go cashless, your money, you get your money and I get my money. If there's a problem or an infraction, I can always find succor in some kind of system to ensure that I get my money back. That's been stated. But the third point is that the objective of the policy, if indeed the infrastructure works, and there are ways to ensure that everybody gets their money if there's a transaction that goes bad, will it help Nigerians? That's what we want to understand here. With the intention, is it something that would help Nigerians if we fully understand the benefits of this policy?
I think based on what you had said earlier, for me that answers the question.
Yeah, so I think that it will help Nigeria, even as a country. It's going to almost eradicate our security problems, especially...
So it's focused on security issues, not really about us.
The issue of kidnapping
is
going to help that issue of kidnapping. It's going to reduce corruption because it just helps the authorities to monitor movement of cash. That's all. Now, regarding how they execute the policy, there are gaps. I'm not a central bank, but I know that central banks should know that they have to put the right policies in place to ensure it works. For that lady that was complaining yesterday, I don't know how that can happen. Then all these charges should be streamlined so that you know. And why would you even do a transaction of 2,000 naira and you are being charged? It doesn't make sense. Right. Why would the central bank allow banks to charge for any transaction? Don't forget the main purpose and duty of bank is to keep your money and use it as credit so that they also make profit. So this double layer, most banks have now made that the main goal, transactional charges.
Yes.
So and when you look at their books, you'll find out that the profit margin on transaction is even higher. Almost some banks. That's why. But that central bank should not allow that to work. So that's their own. But I'm only speaking to the policy and the benefits of the policy.
So if they're saying the benefits is just for as you said, help in security, reduce corruption.
Criminality.
Well, they said they will also help inflation. I'm not sure how that.
So let me address the inflation part, because I understand that for me, when I read the reports and all their press release, they've been very efficient in doing press release. But we need them to hear us and ask questions, and we can get feedback. So I know that I don't see how it will break down, it will resolve inflation issues, but I see it dealing with liquidity. So we have excess liquidity. What that means is we have too much cash in circulation. It is a part of inflation, but the inflation that affects many Nigerians is that food products are more expensive and that there's excess liquidity. But this would address the fact that there's so much liquid cash around, which is why they are doing two policies. There are two major policies happening right now. There's a change of currency and there's a restriction on cash transaction and withdrawal. So the change of currency and the combination would help reduce that plenty people carrying Ghana must go of money everywhere. All the Ghana must go they've hidden everywhere becomes useless at the end of this year, at the end of this month, which is a major win for corruption because you cannot carry that money to the bank. You will need to explain where you got the money from. And you need to explain where the money has been hiding.
So
that deals with that.
I want you to help me with something. Many business owners are complaining that they can't run them. What kind of businesses do you run that you cannot do a transfer? I'm not clear. Maybe I'm the one, I'm not seeing it. But if you own a business that you need cash transactions, please call in. I would really like to hear and get a better understanding because if CBN understands that there are some businesses like that, hopefully maybe they can retweak some of these policies to benefit those people who need it. Are there businesses that actually can run their businesses without cash?
I'm sure that many businesses can within Lagos. My business is largely legal, and I deal with local people, but they do transfer. Most of the laborers that are doing cutting grass and all of that, they are paid 30K, but I do transfer to them. But for them to access that money, it costs them. So when they want to withdraw their money and they complain, they would rather I go and withdraw 300,000 naira cash and give them, because that way, when they get 30K, they are truly getting 30K. They're not paying the POS person to get the money.
On the contrary,
so it is the charges that they are paying that is making them uncomfortable with having to go to the bank because they don't have access to banks. Yeah. So there are two people that are going to benefit from this huge POS, people that run POS machines, and the banks, because for everything you transfer money on, I want to buy pepper now, I'll need to be transferring money because of all of that. So
Ade, are you there? Good morning. Thanks for calling. You're live.
Yeah, good morning, Morayo.
Morning.
Now, since you have holding me on,
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Now, my point is this. When they were discussing this on Journalist Hangout yesterday, Central Bank was communicating with them. Last year, on 2 occasions, I said they should invite Central Bank to the office, to your studio, so that we can ask them questions. They didn't come. Now, my point is this. Me, as I'm talking to you, I have 250,000 naira or 500 naira notes, brand new, with me, that I kept, in case I come home for hotel. And likewise, all my colleagues in the diaspora. You can imagine how many billions. But the message did not plan for us. He just said everything will be January 31. What's the plan for our people in the diaspora? Nothing. So I love the way the YK expresses our view this morning. That's exactly our view. You have to consider all that thing. Even in London, we spend cash. You go to a small shop, the man will say, if you use this card, I'll charge you 50p. So go to here and get the cash. So you use cash. Not to talk of Nigeria, where there's no infrastructure. So they're not thinking about us. So it's a wrong policy. Bring the central bank to your studio. Let's question them, please.
So, Mr. Ade, let me ask you a question. So if you want to buy a car in UK right now, you can take 10,000, whatever. I'm just, when you say they can use cash, I'm just saying.
But even in Nigeria, if you want to buy a car,
you do transfer.
You cannot take the cash. You want to buy a car that is 40 million.
Some people have cash.
Listen. It is unlikely, it is even unreasonable that if you want to buy a car of 40 million, you carry 40 million to the car place. Even the car place will run. You want an armed robber to come and, in fact, they will even believe you are an armed robber who wants to just drop that cash, they will come and collect the cash from them. So it is the car owner will say, send me the money. Go and pay it to your bank.
I'll come to Ike now. So I am for example, I am a kidnapper. I just collected 100 million naira from you. As that 100 million naira, 50 million is my own. And I want to buy my wife 30 million naira car. I'll take that 30 million to the car dealer and I'll buy it because I am a kidnapper. I've got the cash. And it happens. That's the reality.
And they use it to buy motorcycles.
We are not saying...
Yes, they buy motorcycles. Yes, that's the reality. You want to say that this kind of cash transaction must stop. That's what we're saying.
What we're saying... Tell the person, the owner of the car, the one that you are buying the car from, that don't collect that cash. Because when you collect that cash, there's no way you can pay that cash in. You have to explain. I'm not even talking about big million or billions of naira transaction. I'm talking about just the day-to-day transaction.
And we will say that the banks have. We will say that the banks have sort of put something in place where there's an amount of money that if
that you can pay in.
When you pay it in, they would ask you more information than normal.
Yes.
And the source of it.
And also, as I understand the policy, there is a limit. You are entitled to cash. The central bank did not outlaw cash. I think
500K in a month.
500K in a month. That's
no,
a
in a week.
In a
month. It's a month.
Even if it's a week, a month, it doesn't matter. I think it should even be lower than that. Because if you say in a country where the minimum wage is about 50,000 naira, why should your access, even 30, why should access to cash be way more than your minimum wage weekly? Think about it. It's just an avenue for some people to take advantage of that opening. So if they say that you have access to cash for, 100,000 naira a week, I think that already covers your concern. Most people will depend on cash for
our cash
basic
transactions
transfers.
is probably not as
basic
much.
transfers, 100,000 naira, I want to buy tomatoes, I want to do this. Isn't it sufficient?
Yes, and for us, it's also important for us not to completely throw away the policy.
Yeah.
As you have mentioned, we can see in many ways that it can help us. We're constantly talking about insecurity and all the kidnapping that's happening. And if this policy addresses that, I think we are better for it. But we would also agree that it's a Nigerian thing. When we don't carry Nigerians along. We don't carry the Nigerians on the ground along. We sit down with some people somewhere and they speak English and they say things from only their point of view. We need to find out different ways to engage the Nigerian on the ground before we make announcements and proclamations and, policies. So that we don't come here, because the CBN policy today have had to tweak it a bit because of the backlash from Nigerians. So let it be such a serious thing that you would have put everything in place first before you come out and be giving out policies.
Let me take this call from Abuja. Good morning. Are you there, Peter?
Hello, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Happy New Year to you all.
Happy New Year to you, sir.
Okay, yes. I want to just protest on what Suspect said regarding those people, the assistants that they pay money to and they have issues withdrawing them. Basically, what we can do, whenever you're sending money like that, people working for you, maybe 30,000 you pay monthly, you can add up maybe like a ticket, 200 naira, 200 naira, to enable them withdraw them. That will go a long way.
Yes.
Instead of you paying them 30,000 naira and they still find it difficult to withdraw them. So the CBN policy is a welcome development.
Thank you, Peter. Yes,
If she's paying 50 people now, and she adds that to 200 naira times 50, how much is that? So she now, because she wants to clear land, she's now the one that is going to lose because, and it is the banker, the owners of the banks, and which is my
collect that money from me, reverse me.
My problem is, let it favor me, not only the bankers. It is my money I'm putting in the bank. One. You see, I don't even have a problem with them. My own problem is, okay, you want to change money. That is my own first problem right now. Is you want to change money. You want to color money, not even change money. You want to color money. And then you don't even have the money that you have colored because you are making money. You inside the paper today, CBN says all banks. But I was listening to the radio this morning, and a banker called. He says, I want to remain anonymous. He said, our banks don't have money.
New money,
They said they are giving us old money. When we go and collect money, they give us old money. He said, from Central Bank, he has a friend. He said this one, he doesn't have proof, but his friend that works in Central Bank says that it is the big men that are collecting the new money. Okay, because yesterday, I went specially, and this is my problem with Central Bank. Are you efficient? No. You seem to be inefficient. You have said from January 15, everybody should change money. Somebody has called now, they have said, because like in England, when they change money, when you go, you have like 1 or 2 years, if you are, because if you're outside the country, you can still take your money and take it to a bank, and they will collect your old money and give you new money. If you, because like there are millions of Nigerians outside who collect, because when they come back, they need cash. Maybe they don't have accounts here.
People are the...
True.
And so I was saying, I sent 3 different banks yesterday. Go and collect me money from the ATM. Everybody came back. I was as this transaction, I was sending you people pictures, old money.
Let me take this call from Praise. Hold it for a minute. Good morning, Praise from Port Harcourt. Are you there? You're live.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, I just want to contribute to what you did to us. Because,
yes, please.
I went to a supermarket, bought a juice, bottle of 45,000, and I did transfer. The supermarket said that they want to confirm the payment before I can go with the juice. And I waited for that 1 hour. They can't confirm the payment. I leave the good. I came back in the evening before they can restart it for me. If I need that, that I need something to do with that, what I purchased from that supermarket. How can I wait from morning to night to get my goods that they have debit my account? And the supermarket said that until they confirm the payment before they can release the goods.
Was it, sir, Mr. Prince, was it an electronic problem or that the person to confirm was not around? You know how this guy did all sort of things.
The supermarket said that until they confirm the payment, and they cannot confirm the payment, the evening time, something that...
That's true.
Okay, thank you very much.
Especially during the Christmas.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh at you. It's just that
That's our story every day. Especially during the holiday period. You go to all these big malls to shop. They will beg you, please, can you go outside and get cash because the POS are not working because there's no network.
Yeah. So I'd like to just contribute to that. It's a question of trust. I'm sure there are millions of transactions. That's just one of them. Because it happens to me sometimes, but I know it's not the daily occurrence. Most of the time, you transfer, it's received. Now, because there's no trust in the system, the central bank should build trust. And if you have your NIN, you have a bank account, why can't you just let me go? The appropriate laws should be passed that if you do this and you didn't have money in the account, there should be sanctions. I mean, it's just about distrust in the system. Because why shouldn't, okay, well, I have my NIN, this is my bank account, this evidence that this money has gone, and I should be allowed to go.
Yeah, because other people can also, with prosecution is very slow. People can take your ATM card and use it for a transaction, and then you cannot, some people even show you fake proof of transaction. They show you a fake proof of transaction. So until I confirm from my end before I can issue you the product. There are things that I feel we should talk about in this platform. Imagine if you want to send 10,000 naira to 20 people and I'm using my phone. Because it's 10,000, they don't charge me 26, they charge me 10 naira something. The charges that we are paying is a whole lot. It was reviewed at a time, I think in 2021, there was a review downward because before it was a flat 26 naira. But now they did, if it's not up to this amount. But with this policy, many people are forced by your policy to do online transaction. The wise thing to do is to review it further so that you don't, because of bank charges, enrich some people and impoverish other people. So
I
the
agree with
CBN
you.
needs to review
The charges must be reviewed, as we've discussed.
from POS to online transactions.
Because if you want us to go cashless, it means that you'll be benefiting so much more from the cashless society such that you need to ensure that you reduce the charges for me to trust you. It's not about you, but it's more about me. Let me go on the break. When we come back, we'll take a final segment on this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're going to be wrapping up on this, and I think I want to also, it was from this conversation, it's clear that we are very, very much unhappy with the fact that there are lots of charges across not just our bank, our cards, our transactions, and we need to speak to CBN on that charges, on the bank charges. Secondly, we have said categorically that the infrastructure to run a cashless society is not yet strong enough for such in our country, and we need to review that before we actually launch out a proper, full cashless society. And thirdly, we've also established that the policy can be beneficial to reduce corruption, to reduce the transaction within kidnappers' crime, and to also possibly reduce inflation. That's the intention of the policy. But for it to happen, we must build trust. There must be some kind of a trust between the policy holders and the people. But I'd like you to wrap up. As I said, you're not a financial analyst, you're not a CBN official, but you're a concerned citizen who seems to have an understanding or appreciate the policy, and that's why we brought you on to explain to us your thoughts so that we can interrogate it, as you said earlier. So what would you say? How do you wrap this up in your own view to Nigerians?
Okay. I think the policy, when you talk about trust, it's not rocket science. For example, the central bank, you just come up immediately with policies, regulations. How is this supposed to work? what are allowable charges? Because the way it appears banks just sit together, they gang up and say, okay, we'll be charging 20,000, 20 naira, 10 naira from this. Let's know what the policy is. And also, from a personal point of view, I don't think there's any need for urgency. Part of the distrust is this ad hoc way of doing it. I mean, personally, I just feel, okay, if you have a long-term plan, why are you in a hurry to do this? Why can't you just give it some time and let people understand that we are going cashless? Exactly. So that's just my view. Yeah. So, but I think the policy is sound, and it's one of the soundest that has ever come out from the central bank.
All right, I think we can end with that. Do we have any comments on social media?
Tweets,
wrap up? Yes,
Dolani Robert says, what is happening these days? CBN and the banks want us to go cashless, but the cashless policy is costing us more in failed transactions, delayed transactions, scams, poor customer service, and bad network.
Fantastic.
Okay. Yes, Rolake O says, God bless Yeni Kuti for her view on bank charges. We should fight insecurity rather than policies that can't stop kidnapping. It's going to be an easy step for kidnappers to get in touch with large members of families to contribute towards ransom for the victim.
So. And I mean, even artisans sometimes these days, they like you to transfer because they don't want to hold cash. Because once you give them that 30,000 naira, trust me, before you get home, you buy. Say, just send it to my bank account. When I will need, I'll go and withdraw. And you saw that they have money to save for stuff that they want to use. But listen, the idea of cashless policy helps everybody. I know many people, even when I go to the supermarket to buy stuff, or when I buy on the outside, the madam said, Madam, can you transfer to me? Because for them, they help them to save.
Is that my business, we use POS.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you will be, if you pay on a Friday, you wait till Monday before you can even see whether that money entered your account. Then you will now start calculating. How much? 100 naira was supposed to enter. 500 naira. By the time they would have removed like 100,000. You will not even see. Then you now start calling them. They say, we can't find the money. You have to wait. You will lose so much money.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. On POS.
So from this POS transaction, from people using their ATM cards on your... I mean, come on.
So we're not there yet. Based on this, we are clearly not there yet, and we need to bring CBN. Infrastructure is not there yet, and we need to find a way to resolve this issue. That's all we can take on this segment. Thank you very much, Mr. Gabriel Ariwith, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
We'll come back, move on to the next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Now we're having with us the Managing Director of the Lagos Metropolitan Transport Authority, Engineer Abimbola Akin-Najo. Welcome to the show, madam. Share with us exactly what's going on with the Blue Line. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody.
So we know you came here the last time. We thought that it was actually commissioned, but now I'm being told it's even yet to be commissioned. So there's quite a bit of publicity out there about the Blue Line, but we know that you just received a few cars recently. Yes. And in light of the insecurity that's happened recently in Edo, many people are concerned about their excitement about the rail lines about to start in Lagos. We're also worried about security. So let me start with how secure are the trains? Or should we start from what you've received last weekend? Let us start with that. Let us before we go to security.
So thank you very much for your question. So what have we received in the past couple of weeks? It's 2 more sets of rolling stock. So historically, we had 1 set of 4-car electric multiple units. We call them EMU in the industry. So now we've gotten 2 more sets of that. So in total, we have 3 sets of rolling stock that we will be using to start the passenger operations when we do start towards the end of the first quarter of this year. So by the end of March.
So as I said, let's not go to the issue of insecurity because safety is a major problem, especially what happened recently. People are wondering, are our train stations safe?
I think, first of all, it is things that will happen that will sort of also help you to rethink your own plans. And that is what we are continuing to do within Lamata and within the state. So first of all, we have always had the visibility of CCTV in all of our stations, on the trains. We also are working with Lagos Neighborhood Watch, who will put well, I don't know how to call them, not detectives, but people who sort of mingle with the crowd and understand what people are doing, sort of gather local intelligence. So you are listening when they're in your station, you are watching body language, you're just generally watching people. So we've put that as another way that we will ensure that people who come into our stations have genuine intentions of just getting on the train and not causing any harm. All along the alignment itself, we will have safety gadgets that will tell us when there's sort of like motion sensors that will tell us. So we have a whole security system that will have a control room somewhere that we will be continuously monitoring.
Lagos.
That will allow us to see what's happening on our tracks, in our stations. Based on all the security gadgets that we've put there, we will now have a system within a location that we will have somebody watching, people sitting there regularly, daily, hourly, watching what is going on. And so all of that will sort of help us.
No necking
So the
in
governor
trains.
was here now. I feel like it has been commissioned. We know everything about the train, but since we are here in view of the commissioning coming up, could you once again tell us what the routes will be and the stations that are available?
Okay, so for now, we have done the first phase, and that will be from Mile 2 to Marina. And that will be the stations that we have that will be available for use now will be Mile 2, Alaba, Igomu, National Theatre, and Marina.
Kidding me? So if I want to go to Alaba, I'll just take the train.
Oh, yeah.
You're kidding me?
When will you start to
Commence,
actually operate?
Okay, so what we're doing now, we're going to be taking various facets of society. It's all about this sensitization to let the people know how to utilize this system. So for now, we'll take students one day, we will have media people come, we'll have corporate people come, we'll have market women come, just so that we can sensitize as many people as possible. But start of passenger operations will not be until the end of the first quarter. So either the last week in March or the first week in April. That's
You would need your Cowrie card.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's in April, right?
Yes. So what will happen is, the way that Lagos is going, we're going down this route of integrated transport systems, where we are ensuring that everything sort of ties together. And in that sense, what we had done within Lamata was to inaugurate this Cowrie card, which allows you to board our buses, and even on the ferries now, they use it. So when the trains come, it's the same system that you will use. You will notice that when we did the completion ceremony, we have automatic fare collection systems. And on that automatic fare collection system, all you have to do is load your card, you go there, you tap, and the gates will open, just like it happens everywhere in the world.
How do you load your card?
Sorry?
Your bank, through your bank? Or?
So you can load your card. We have USSD. We're now starting to work with just local mom and pop shops. You can go there to load. You can also, we have agents all over our bus stops, our bus stations, our terminals, and also the train stations itself. So you can do it.
We do with regular recharge cards.
That's correct.
Does it cost us money to load though? Like when you buy, no, you put 10,000.
In bank, we take their own charge.
Would you not be like, when you finish putting 10,000, what you would reflect in your account would be 9,960 naira? It's a valid question.
Okay, yeah, and I agree. So if you go to an agent and you put 10,000 on your card, that's exactly what you will get.
Okay.
So the customer does not get charged for loading.
Okay, that's good. This is very, I must applaud the Cowrie move. Even within estates, you use a card to be, Lagos is really striving to go cashless, and it's
digital.
a good, this is cashless and
Yeah,
digital.
we agree with
It's a
you now.
combination.
So.
Yeah, it's a combination. But the question what many people have been asking is, we know that transit it's been ongoing for a long time. People in Agege, people in Ikeja are saying that it seems like it's impossible for you to have a rail for Ikorodu Road access. It's impossible. Like, where would you put it? Is there any plan to create a railway for Ikorodu, from Ikorodu all the way to maybe like Costain?
Okay, so there's, within this strategic transport master plan, there are 6 rail lines, 6 metro and 1 monorail. One of them is a line that goes from Ikorodu to Ikeja. Now, the whole thing about this is connectivity. So whilst you want to go from Ikorodu, say, to Costain, if you get to Ikeja, you hop onto the red line. So there'll be connectivity between those stations, just like you have. And you will then be able to move from Ikeja to the island, i.e. Marina. So that's...
Saying, where would you put it for Ikorodu? That was what she was asking. Like, where exactly? Like, Ikorodu, is there space to put it?
Not Ikorodu Road, though. Ikorodu town.
Right.
I mean, we managed to. So there will be... So there is a...
It's above ground, I'm sure.
Well, it all depends on what we do. So there is a concept now. There is no detailed design yet.
Right.
So when the detailed design comes, it will tell you where. But
I'm concerned about this between now and end of February, where you won't allow regular people. So would you be inviting business people, or you just allow people to just go in for free between now and then? Is that what you're saying?
no, we will be inviting people.
okay.
It will be a controlled position.
Okay.
Because what it is really, it's more about ensuring that our processes work.
Okay,
So we also
testing
have
the
to
process.
relate with NRC. NRC currently are the regulators.
Yeah.
So we must, between the two of us, build the confidence that what we have done, this is something that is new for us. First of all, it's an electrified train. Second of all, it's a metro. It's very different to the intercity system that we have. It is a train system that is designed actually to be able to have a train every 3 minutes. So we need to put processes in place. So it's not that you will get on the platform and a train is waiting for you for. Dwell time right now is designed at a maximum of 90 seconds.
Wow.
So it's exactly like a metro system that you have world over. So all of us need to know. So I need to sensitize the passengers. Like, you don't come and begin to chat and think the train will wait for you. You need to come and get on the train.
I wanted to say, also in our African time, when they say train will leave at 9 a.m., we now saunter in at 9:30. I'll be vexing that
the train gone?
Yes, how can the train go? But then, you know, talking about this, it leads me to question on maintenance. A lot of fantastic projects we commission, and then a few years down the line is just a sorry sight. What would be the measures you're putting in place to make sure that it's maintained for a very long time?
Okay. So there are two facets to maintenance, obviously. There's the hard infrastructure maintenance, and then there's the soft one, i.e. just daily facilities sort of maintenance thing, cleaning it and making it comfortable for the passengers when they come. So that perspective, both of them will be handled by private sector. So the daily cleaning, we will have facilities managers who will work with us. Based on service level agreements, we will tell you how often you must clean the toilets, how often, what the platforms must look like. And then you will work to that perspective. And the people or whoever that contractor is will ensure that the stations are clean. We have it already with our bus terminals that we have. We have in Ikeja, we have in Yaba. And I'm sure you can attest the fact that our terminals are always clean. So that is the sort of system we will run for the rail system as well. With regard to the hard infrastructure, we will go back and work with the contractor who has implemented it. We will have a system or an agreement in place that will say certain things in certain ways. So we have a maintenance agreement that will say that you must inspect all of my bridges once a year, and that is normal world over.
Okay.
You must carry out principal inspections on all my bridges. All the hard infrastructure for the stations must also be inspected. The track actually must be inspected on a daily basis. You must walk that track daily to ensure that there are no cracks, there is no missing joint.
This is already signed.
These are the things that we are working with our contractor as we speak now.
Okay.
So that way, we know that we in Lamata are also building a train operation arm. So that, and we're training our people already to ensure that we do not constantly rely on foreign people, and we're already
Let me take this call from the UK. Olanrewaju, are you there? You're live. Go ahead, please.
Hello. Yeah, hello. Good morning, ladies.
Morning.
Yeah. The question I want to ask. Okay, before I ask the question, I will say congratulations to Lagos State about this project. But something they forgot. You know, somebody started this project a couple of, 30, 40 years ago, but it didn't go through. The governor then, Jack Onday.
Hello? Oh, I really wanted to hear that. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Let me come in here. You mentioned in the conversation that you were going to have to work with NRC, that's the Nigerian Railway Corporation, and I'm always worried when we have such federal government to states, because the NRC is a federal government agency, and then you have a state government. So to avoid a case of this is not my control, this is not, I don't have the authority over this thing, what are the scenarios that you have put in place as you forge this relationship to ensure there is no gap?
Okay, actually, the blue line is probably the easier one because the whole of the infrastructure belongs to the state. So the only thing they will oversee us over are processes. And once a year, they will come and audit those processes.
So they're not staff?
They're not, no. All of the staffing, all of the responsibility is ours, but the regulatory function is what they have.
Okay.
And before you start, your regulator must come and sort of look at your processes and be sure that they're happy with it. And they will come once a year to audit you. And that's really...
I wanted to ask, what is the wait time? Like, I missed my 9:30 train. What is the wait time for the next train?
Okay, so that's a good question. And that question is dependent on the number of rolling stock that we have. Right now, we only have 3. The vision for the state is to work with the private sector. So we're seeking a concessionaire as we speak, who will bring in more rolling stock and also augment infrastructure.
Government really shouldn't do stuff like that, right?
No, we shouldn't. The reason we've gone down this route sometimes is for the private sector to have confidence in the state that we're really committed to this way of transportation. So right now that we have 3, what we're looking at is maybe a 20-minute wait time. And that means, that we probably would only do that in peak hour. Because transportation is always demand-driven. And we've done a number of studies to understand how people travel when they travel and in which directions they're traveling. And we know Lagos is tidal. Everybody's coming to the island in the morning and everybody's going back in the evening. So for now, you would be looking at about a 20-minute wait.
Okay, but given also the number of cars on ground right now, how many people do you think we're talking about here?
So in a day, based on the number of hours that will be open, we have done a study and we know confidently that we'd be able to move anything from 170,000 every day, just for these 5.
So, now, I'm not sure if you can answer this question, but I know that the governor is hoping to get elections, to win the next elections. Do you think all the plans for the rail will be completed by the end of maybe 8 years if he gets to come in again? Or is this something that we might be looking for subsequent administrations?
Okay, so it all depends on what you're asking me, and I'll scenario for you. So if we're looking at the blue and the red line, so the blue line, for instance, we've done the first phase, and we will start operations imminently. Now, the second phase, we will actually commission that second phase when Mr. President comes. So we expect to start the implementation of that immediately at the beginning of his next administration. And the commitment we have from the contractor who's done this is that we can complete it in 3 years. The issue never is the ability of the state to complete. It's always about funding. And so long as you have the money, you are able to complete in the time that... And that's what we saw happen with the blue, and it's happening with the red as well.
Now, how much would a ticket be? I mean, people always wonder, is it going to be expensive, affordable for the average Nigerian? So what should we look at as the cost of each trip?
Okay, so the cost of trip is something I cannot commit to now, and I'll tell you why. I can't commit to it because we're actually in the process of understanding. There is a thing you do. Not only do I understand how many passengers I will take, because it's all about cost of operation. There's also the willingness to pay for the passenger. And then there's also what exists as we speak now. So what we're looking at, and we're doing all of those studies, and we've deliberately not done it before because economic situations change. And it's being able to do it at the time that is pertinent to the time when you want to open. So from our perspective, we feel that it will not be that much worse than what we're paying now to save you a minimum of 2 hours one-way journey. If you're going from Mile 2 to Marina today, you will spend at least 2 hours on the road. That train will take you no more than 10 minutes. 15 minutes, maximum 20 minutes, depending on my speed. The most that will happen is if I'm doing a low speed today, and I did that trip yesterday.
You started using the train?
Well, we do...
Yes.
Please, you see what we are paying now. I don't know how much a bus fare costs. When you say what you are paying now, you're talking about bus fares or taxis or...
No, bus fares.
Bus fares.
Bus fares, because we're talking about a general public...
So this is supposed to replace public transport buses. Do you see private car owners to be able to drop their cars and join the train?
I hope you will do that.
You know what I'm
That's a whole
is
vision.
children going to school.
Yes.
They're able to. And so, of course, as a mother, I'm concerned about their safety when they're on the bus, the trains by themselves.
No. I mean, you see it all over the world. So long as they are secure, even more secure on the trains than they are on the buses. So, because...
Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue with our conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have our guests, and we're going to be wrapping up very soon. But it's important for me to... Let me throw in one question from here.
Yeah, so I have one more question. You were saying something about the government has started something and then has sort of built the trust to allow for private investment. How much do you think a private individual or private corporations should be looking at if they would like to invest in cars like this?
Okay, so it depends on what we're looking at. It's either you're looking at just providing rolling stock, which is what you would do with one that we have already built. And rolling stock can cost anything from $7 million to $15 million, depending on what you're looking at. For a 4-car train, for a 6-car train, for an 8-car train. And it depends on what type. So a diesel engine is cheaper than an electric engine, which is what we have. So those sorts of things are what you're looking at. But beyond that, obviously, there'll be cost of operations and all that. So that's what the private sector organization has to think about. But in terms of implementing a real infrastructure, which we have already done, let's talk about 2 that's just recently been built. There's one that was opened, I think, in Bangladesh, Dhaka, the central city. It was actually opened in December. They inaugurated theirs in December. And that rail system was, it's actually a 20.1 kilometer rail, and it cost $2.1 billion. What that speaks to is over $100 million per kilometer. When you speak about a metro system that is in the middle of a city, especially when you're talking about elevated rail, it is circa anything from $70 million to $100 million per kilometer. You get this in the Asian countries and Africa where we are developing. That is what you will get. And please let us understand there's a difference between an intercity rail and a metro system. A metro system world over, that is the price it costs. Actually, in other Western countries, it costs more. But the sort of balance is between 70 and $100 million per kilometer.
And intercity rail will be cheaper?
It will be cheaper because you're running a long rail. So if you talk about the one that has been touted, Ethiopia built something for 700 for 5. Now, that is a 759-kilometer rail. That only, I think, is about 10% of it, or 20, or less than that, that is elevated. It is also only about 120 kilometers of that is double track. It is also 3% of it that has some level of elevation, and it is not completely segregated from traffic. So you are allowed to have, well, maybe not as I go slow, but you have intersections, and they have to stop. So there's a lot of difference. So imagine that 759 kilometers of rail has 20 stations. So you think about the track that you have to do before you get to one station. We are only 20, we say we're 27 in total, we have 11 stations. So this one that I'm talking about in Bangladesh has 13 stations. And that's, those are, and then you also must think about the terrain. You're talking, the system that we've just built, we put down only for the tracks that are elevated, nearly 2,000 pounds. Lagos ground conditions speak to a terrain that is difficult to implement, and to implement something as heavy as...
Can we ever have like a subway here? Underground? No. Possible?
We are below sea level now. Lagos State is below sea level.
So it's not impossible. It just would be very expensive.
Yeah.
The rule of thumb in railway is that the minute you start to elevate, whatever the base cost is, multiplied by 2.5. And the base cost for metro all over the world, they will say to you, research it, is about $30 million per kilometer. If everything is at grade and you are not paying compensation, you are not in difficult terrain. Well, so the minute you elevate, that's at least 2.5 times that. The minute you go under, is 3.5 times that minimum.
Personally, I don't want to go under anywhere.
Not in Nigeria.
Thank you so much for educating us, because many of us travel and say, why can't we do that in Nigeria?
Yes.
Are there air-conditioned rails?
Oh, yes, our trains are air-conditioned.
That's winding down.
No, we're not winding down.
In first class, they serve refreshments, you know.
Well, we don't understand we're in metro.
It's a short
We're not an intercity.
I just wanted you to convince Nigerians that they're safe, because she just said, Miriam just said, we're underground in Nigeria. No.
No. If NEPA take lights,
you know.
when you are underground,
So,
would NEPA take lights?
NEPA cannot take lights.
Convince us that this is 100% safe. Convince us, so take it.
This is as safe as it is anywhere in the world.
Okay.
Because as far as we're concerned, everything we need to do, we put in place. You know, you spoke to the power, and we are running an electric system. And what we've done, we have 3 methods in which we ensure that power will not fail. We have IPP, we have the regular power, and then we have a drip system, a UPS system that connects both. So when my main lines go down, the UPS system picks up until my IPP comes up. So you, the passenger that you're on the train, you will not know that there has been a transition, that NEPA has stopped.
Let me quickly take you to water. Water is one of the most, for me, in Nigeria, it shouldn't be as dangerous as it is, but waterways has become a very dangerous means of transportation, because the average Nigerian probably doesn't know how to swim, and we don't have a rescue system. I've heard a bit about what Lagos State is doing to intervene. I've heard about this stuff that can come and meet you and rescue you automatically. But can you give us a bit more information about how safe the waterways are now?
Okay, so I think in the past 3 years, there's been a lot of work done on the safety of passengers on the waterways. So the basic awareness, wear your life jacket, just don't travel at a certain time. Yeah. So travel must end at a certain time. When all of those things are adhered to, we have recorded a lot of safe times on our waterways. And like you were just referring to, and I think the governor spoke about it when he was here, they have just opened a control center that speaks to, it just surveys the whole of the waterways, and if they see that somebody is in trouble, they can deploy a gadget to go and pick them up. So the search and rescue also is big now. There's a lot of it going on. So from the safety aspect of the waterways, there's a lot that's been done, and the state has recorded excellent, what would I say, the history of, at least in the past 3 years, there's been excellent history of safety on the waterways.
I have a request, and this request is because I'm a Lagosian, and I live in Lagos, and one of the cultures of being a Lagosian is that when you are driving, you can buy plantain chips. Now, I know you might not want to do that for the train, but if you have authorized people where you wear a uniform, and you're the one that can sell chewing gum here, plantain
from the train station now.
No, not the train station. In the cars, you know, it's a Nigerian culture when we're in the road, while we're riding, we like to munch things here and there.
Because we're in traffic.
Okay,
now we're in traffic.
Let me answer me now. Can we have authorized chin sellers in our train?
So really and truly, all these our habits, it is not everything we must carry with us. There's some things that we should just be willing to
Let's elevate. What she's asking.
So you know what we're going to do?
For a 20-minute journey.
Let the man take the answer.
For a 20-minute journey, you want to eat plantain chips.
No, she can't. But at the station.
Carry it to side.
So when you know that you want plantain chips, You know, you have that craving. We will have the whole of our stations will have
vending machines.
Yes, vending machines, commercial outlets. You can buy a cup of coffee. You can buy sandwich. You can buy the only thing you can't buy amalasha, but you can buy all sorts of chin and things like that and plantain chips and take it on the train.
Okay, so because Mariah is taking us on a lighter note, let me also go on the lighter note. We have people that preach in the cars and preach in the buses, and they hawk different things. Yes. Would this be disallowed in the trains, or can people still go there and
it's
say...
freedom of expression.
Okay, so this freedom of expression.
I don't pay for their transport.
Abi, thank you. I was just about to say, the person has come on the train. When he gets on the train and he chooses to have a conversation with fellow... when his conversation becomes a nuisance, though, to other travelers, he would be dealt with. We would tell him very nicely that he's disturbing other people. You know, in other climes, they will tell you, don't leave your music loud, because I may want to think I'm going to work, for crying out loud. I don't really want to...
put up those signs so that say no smoking, no preaching, no hawking, no what else.
Now, since it's a metro, we do have places to hold our hands, to stand on, because
you need to come.
So
we have...
No, you didn't invite us.
No, don't worry, we'll invite you now.
Your view alone, no, you're not the one that go your view. No problem. So there's a metro, you can actually stand.
Yes, you can stand. You have all those straps that you will hold on to.
Say the AC will not kill somebody, because they said the AC to Ibadan that, hey, if
don't
you
worry,
carry
just
your
come with
winter
your
jacket.
jumper. Come with jumper, come with jumper.
Then for the people with special needs, disabilities, are there segments where disabilities people stay? We have that in the train too?
On the trains, we have dedicated spaces for them. We have level boarding, which means you can roll your wheelchair onto the train platform. So
let's take a few comments on social media before we wrap up.
I think Andrew Strotham says, from Magodo to Lekki Station, how much will it be? He wants to invest.
All right.
Does he want to build?
We're going to wrap up soon. I'd like to talk about Lamata, because, you know, many of us, we hear of Lamata, but we just think of transport. We don't really know the vision, what your plan, the bigger picture, as YK said earlier. We want Lamata. What are your plans for Lamata? What do you see Lamata? Where do you see Lamata in the future?
So maybe we should talk about the vision of Lamata. So Lamata, the whole vision of Lamata is to provide sustainable, integrated transport system for the people of Lagos, so that you and I, who are going to be partakers in this, will be satisfied, and to also drive the economy of Lagos. When transportation is right, economy will grow. That's the vision. And all of that is mainly what we look at is public transportation. So Lamata has a responsibility, first of all, to plan. We sit in that place where we plan the public transportation for the whole of Lagos. So when we talk about water, even though we don't implement, Lagos State's vision is that all of the planning takes place in one place, so that it is nice, integrated, and everybody is not going off to do their own thing. So that's what Lamata does. We plan, we implement, and we regulate. So the vision would be that as we have buses, we have rail systems, we would not operate. We would have people who would operate, and we would sit in that place as a regulator, which is what we're doing now for the buses. We would do the same for the rail system.
There's a question here from Solomon, Relaxing Music. He says, my next question is, have they also thought of staffing, training for drivers and trainers and the trainers? Train is not something that you go and hire through no man or party affiliation.
Good question.
And it's a fantastic question. Funny enough, we had a meeting yesterday with the vocational, the executive secretary of Lagos State Vocational Training Services. But we're also partnering with Istanbul Metro, they have already sent us a number of trainers. Also CCCC, who implemented, they brought us trainers. So what we expect to do is that when we've started actually to collect CVs, we've asked people to bring their CVs, we will train all of those who would work with us. And honestly, I like the question about it's not man, no man. In the conversation we had yesterday concerning training, you cannot, the first thing is, real operations is about discipline. And all these bad habits that we have, we cannot bring it onto the operations of railway. So those soft skills must be taught, and then the hard skills for running the rail system. So we are in the process of doing that as we speak.
So I have a comment here. Some of our fans also want to be part of the trip. So they said whenever you invite your view, please invite fans, or
we'll
your
take
view of
like
your view
10
fans.
more.
We'll take a few of our fans too.
Okay.
So let the invite be official, and we'll invite our viewers also to join us on the birthday. So we'll be happy to be on the train.
Okay, so please, there's something that we said a bit during the break, that we have a lot of women, and I've said it several times, that this administration has a lot of women in power, and it's interesting to interview them and get your professional perspective, but you have a family life, and many people just see you and think of the work, Lamata, as the only thing. But what is life outside
Outside of
Lamata?
Lamata. So I'm a married woman. I have 3 children, 3 adult children. So my youngest is 22. He keeps telling me, don't call me baby. So I have 2 daughters and a son. My first daughter is married, and my other 2, they're working. Yeah.
Right.
So it's been an interesting journey. I've always been, I graduated as a civil engineer, so I'm chartered, and I worked in the UK for 20-odd years. I got my chartership in the UK, and I am also a chartered engineer here. I've always worked in transport infrastructure delivery. That's been my passion for a long time, and I did that in London on the London Underground. I delivered a number of the infrastructure for the London
so you're
Underground
a square
system.
peg in the square hole.
Did they headhunt you, or did you come back?
Interestingly, I came back when they started this Blue Line about 12 years ago. And I worked with Governor Fashola at the time as a consultant to them. So when Governor Sanwo-Olu came, I did that work up until the first year or so of Ambode's reign. So I was the consultant who was overseeing the implementation of this Blue Line. So when you say Blue Line Rail, for me, it's something that I'm passionate about. I've been with it forever, and I intend to see it right through. So I'm really excited about the implementation. But Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu asked me to come and head Lamata. So at first I thought, you know what, you've done this from the outside. See, do it from the inside.
There's a comment here which I think is really important. So what if there are altercations within the train? How does that get resolved? When tempers are high, when you train and somebody's getting angry and shouting, then, what do you do? Are there security on
Can they throw the enemy out of the window?
No, they can't.
So don't give ideas.
When tempers go high in the train, are there ways we can...
So and I guess
down?
that's part of the reasons why we've been engaging with Lagos State Neighborhood Watch. I find them to be, when you say native sense, they're good at that. So they'll be able to walk up to the person and say, there's really no need for this until we get to the next station, and understand we're on a journey that is not too long. This is not like going from Lagos to Ibadan, where you can be sitting there for 1 hour with somebody and the wahala will just be escalating. But if someone is, if the next station is probably 3 minutes away, so you begin to, and the minute there's a problem, we can see it in our control room, and that person can be.
Oh, so if you're necking your boyfriend in the
oh yes,
you can
so
see.
Just be very.
Wow.
Don't try yourself.
So those of you that are coming boyfriend, to the train and
Not
thinking,
inside
somebody
this
is washing. Oh my goodness, that is invasion of privacy.
Look at
Please,
No,
security.
it's public space. So that there's no privacy. If
you are the one that is invading the public space.
Yes, now if you're going to kiss in public.
We want to see everything that's happening on the train, because I would like for my children to be able to use it without me following them.
Okay, we have to wrap up. Thank you so much, madam. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you very
on
much.
the show. Any final 5-second words to our viewers about the train? Just final words again.
So the only thing I really want to say is us to understand that these trains are electrified, or the tracks are electrified. Please, please, please don't cross it. We've been talking about it, and we continue to talk about it. Don't cross it. Use the overhead bridges that we have provided.
To shock you?
Yes, it will.
Oh my Lord.
Under no circumstance should you cross the tracks, please. And also, I want to speak about owning infrastructure. Let us not, under any circumstance, begin to vandalize it.
Yeah.
If state spends money that is supposed to do once, if they spend it 3 times, then all of us are the
But
ones
if it's
paying.
electrified, you can't vandalize it.
But you know what they do? They're vandalizing. So we have fenced it all off, and they're trying to remove.
Electrify it, please.
Fence,
Electrify the express roads.
No, if you just electrify
them.
small,
Yes.
it will deter them.
Just tease them a bit.
Yes.
Because
That's
But
all
I
we
think
can
it's just
take
3
on
people
today's show. Tomorrow is another day. We have a special guest tomorrow. We can't wait for tomorrow's show. But thank you so much, madam, for coming today.
For having
I think we learned a few things. about Lamata, the blue line. In fact, everybody in Lagos, if you're in Lagos, you don't know about blue line, they're not in Lagos. Because everybody and the new baby inside the stomach knows about blue line.
Yes.
But now we'll wait for the red line sometime
Red line
soon.
is coming.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Thank you.